is your first agricultural TV station in Nigeria. My name is Joshua Ishai, and guess what? The program is Back to Farm. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, Back to Farm is a program that tells you all you need to know so you can actually go back to farm. You know why? Because food are actually going out of our table, and as such, you and I need to take the whole and of course also go into mechanized farming so we can be self-sufficient in food. And today we'll be looking at Guinea corn farming. Guinea corn farming is an important agricultural activity in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. According to statistics, Nigeria is the largest producer of Guinea corn in Africa, with an estimated production of 6.5 million tons in 2020. Globally, Guinea corn is the fifth most important cereal crop after wheat, maize, rice, and barley. It is a versatile crop that can be used for food, feed, and fuel. Guinea corn is a drought-resistant crop that is well suited for the hot and dry conditions of Africa. It is also a gluten-free grain market. It's a popular choice for those with gluten allergies or sensitive. Sorghum is used to make a wide variety of food products, including flour, beer, porridge, and bread.
Guinea corn farming business is undeniable a very lucrative and profitable agri-business investment in Nigeria. Although Guinea corn grows very well under arid environment, you can still grow it in the south. It will interest you to know that there are about 2.8 million hectares of land cultivated annually for Guinea corn production. Guinea corn farming is mostly carried out in Sokoto, Katsina, Nasarawa, Kebbi, Bauchi, Adamawa, Nanja, Taraba, and Zamfara state respectively. Guinea corn is considered the fifth most important grain after rice, maize, wheat, and barley. The crop is grown both in tropical and subtropical climates. Guinea corn, also known as sorghum, Egyptian millet, and Sudan grass. Commercial Guinea corn farming is mostly carried out in Central America, South Asia, and Africa. Outside Africa, Guinea corn is mostly cultivated for fodder, while in Africa, it is cultivated for human consumption. Why Guinea corn farming business? There are a lot of agribusiness you can venture into in Nigeria, but Guinea corn farming. But why Guinea corn farming? Well, the answer is the fact that Guinea corn farming is highly lucrative and profitable. For instance, Guinea corn can be used in production of pap, alcoholic drink, flour or baking, non-alcoholic drink like milk, and etc. In Nigeria, about 45% of the total Guinea corn produced is exported, while the rest is for local consumption. This tells you that there is a huge demand for Guinea corn in Nigeria, and this makes Guinea corn farming highly profitable. There are so many things you can do with Guinea corn sorghum. Don't let the opportunity pass you by. There are a lot of business opportunities that come with the cultivation of Guinea corn in Nigeria. Some of these business opportunities include: food is always a continuous source of income for anyone that produces it. For the fact that food is a basic need of man means that you will make huge income from Guinea corn or sorghum. The processing of Guinea corn yields different food products for human consumption. You can harvest your Guinea corn and process it into flour for baking purposes. The syrup of sweet Guinea corn can be extracted and sold as food sweetener. Among the different varieties of Guinea corn, there is one you can cultivate for ethanol production. This biofuel can be used to power engines, thereby giving you good returns on your investment. The grass of Guinea corn or sorghum crop contains protein and fat nutrients that make a very good feed for farm animals. Aside from free production for livestock, you can process the sorghum grain into mash for poultry feed as well. Nigeria is made up of millions of livestock farmers, which means that you can make good returns from Guinea corn farming by producing livestock feed. The fact that Guinea corn is a maltose-rich crop makes a good business opportunity. For beverage production, breweries are always in need of malt contained in Guinea corn for the production of non-alcoholic drink, like soft drink. It also interests you to know that the fermentation of this malt ingredient produces beer powder and larger beer. There are a lot of things you need to put in place if you want to have a bountiful, fruitful Guinea corn harvest. These important factors include the following. Before you venture into commercial Guinea corn farming in Nigeria, it is imperative that you have a good business plan in place. Your Guinea corn business plan will contain your market research, financial projection, marketing strategy. The business plan will serve as a guide for you while starting your agribusiness venture. While applying for agricultural loan, your business plan will always be a great help in telling potential investors about your business. Now, site selection. Once your business plan is in order and the capital is available, the next point of call is to find a suitable land for your sorghum crop cultivation. While choosing the land, it is very important that you put into consideration the fact that Guinea corn is mostly alkaline tolerant. So the pH of the soil should be between 6.0 and 8.5 in a situation where the available piece of land has a pH less than 6.0. It is highly advisable that you apply lime. The soil temperature should not be below 70 centigrade or above 100 centigrade, else it will affect seed germination. After you've selected the farmland, then proceed to clear it for planting of your crops. Now, you go into species selection and planting. There are different varieties of Guinea corn that you can select from. We have the sweet Guinea corn, we have the biomass sorghum, grain sorghum or Guinea corn, and forage sorghum or Guinea corn. The particular species depends on your purpose of starting a Guinea corn farming business. For instance, forage Guinea corn is mainly for the production of pasture, hay, or silage. So if you're going into livestock feed production, the forage Guinea corn is your best choice. The sweet Guinea corn variety is for the production of sweet nuts. This particular variety can be used in place of sugar cane due to its sweetness, deeper production cost, and high ethanol content. As a Guinea corn farmer who aims to produce biofuel, the best choice is the biomass Guinea corn or sorghum. The grain sorghum or Guinea corn is for human consumption, and it is the most popular in Nigeria. After you've selected the particular variety of Guinea corn to start with, the next task is the planting of your crops. As a Nigerian Guinea corn farmer, the best time to plant your crop is between September, mid-October. Within this period, the soil will not be too moisty or dry, which is the ideal condition for Guinea corn farming in Nigeria. After tilling the soil, seed depth should not be above 4 cm, otherwise the seed could die out. The row width should be between 0.3 cm to 0.4 cm. If you want to plant about 150,000 Guinea corn crops, 3 to 8 kg per hectare will do the trick. It is essential that you apply fertilizer, preferably NPK, about 6 weeks after planting. Now, let's talk about weed and pest control of Guinea corn. If you abide by the aforementioned requirement and fail to control pests and diseases, your crop yield will be very low. You can make use of herbicide for weed control. Ensure you apply the herbicide before the crop germinates. You can make use of carbonfuran 3G at 8.10 hectares for pest control. Now, let's talk about harvest and marketing. Once the Guinea corn grain attains the stage milking, you should harvest within 14.18 days. You can check if the grain has started milking by piercing the grain for milk like liquid. Harvest by cutting off the cranes from the bottom. Remove the leaves and then separate the canes. Green and forage Guinea corn needs to be left for a while for the grain to mature and become hard and bright. As a commercial Guinea corn farmer, you need harvesters like sugarcane harvesters for sweet or forage Guinea corn. The Guinea corn market in Nigeria is constantly booming with consumers. Your job will be to identify these consumers so as to market the farm produce. Guinea corn has been in existence for centuries. One of the most important staple food for millions of poor rural people in semi-arid tropicals of Asia and Africa. For some impoverished regions of the world, Guinea corn remains a principal source of energy, protein, vitamins, and minerals. Guinea corn grows in harsh environments where other crops do not grow well, just like other staple foods such as cassava that are common in impoverished regions of the world. It is usually grown without application of any fertilizer or other input by multiple of smallholder farmers in many centuries. Guinea corn. This crop is an important food crop and is widely grown in the highlands, lowlands, and semi-arid region of the country. It is important for food, feed, fiber, and fuel across a range of agro-ecosystems. Guinea corn also used as raw material by industries to produce different products including starch, fiber, dextrose, syrup, biofuels, and alcohol. Guinea corn in the past decades in the world with yearly production of 60 million tons among the 44 million hectares of land devoted to global Guinea corn production. About 90% are contributed by developing countries with largest share from Africa and Asia. According to research, Guinea corn is one of the most important staple crop in Nigeria. Its production surpasses all other crops in terms of food contribution. Guinea corn is the major cereal consumed by majority of population. About 73% of the total calories come from cereals, and 52% of the percentage intakes are contributed by sorghum alone. Nigeria Agricultural Extension Research and License Service. The leaves and grains are also used of livestock feed and stock for thatching house and making fences. The shortfall in cereal production, particularly Guinea corn production, has been reported in Nigerian Savannah zone, where Guinea corn is grown as an estimated area of 4.5 million hectares, with annual production output of about 6 million tons. However, in 2010, Nigeria was the world's largest producer of grown Guinea corn, followed by the United States and India. This could be attributed to the popularity of Guinea corn crop, which now has high primary demand as source of food for humans, especially in poorer regions of the world. Also, Guinea corn is demanded as a poultry feed and secondary as cattle feed and a brewing application among other uses. Even with the world's acknowledged importance and the uses of Guinea corn as cereal crop, it is reported that allocation of farm area to Guinea corn crop has been dropping, while the yields per hectare have been increasing. This is obvious as the biggest Guinea corn crop the world produced in the last 40 years, with 77.5 million tons harvested that year. Very few food came to use in the raw state. Only fresh fruits, vegetables, meat, eggs, and fresh fish are untreated. all other food have been processed in some way. Guinea corn grain can be milled and polished like rice when it loses much of the little protein it contains. Unmilled grains are made into milk flour for use in porridge paste or draughts by mixing with water. It can also be mixed up to 15% with the wheat flour to make bread. Sorghum grain is for brewing beer, which is rich in vitamin B. The grain are soaked in water and allowed to germinate. When they are dried and grounded into milk, the milk is mixed with water and the mixture are allowed to ferment. This beer cannot be kept as it soon goes sour. The local names are called burkutu or pito. The grain sorghum supply food for a large proportion of the population of West Africa, particularly those living in the semi-arid areas. It is one of the most important grain crops of the tropical world, and it's eaten in many different forms. Guinea corn is also used in production of alcoholic drink. Guinea corn flour is produced for consumption and is also made in bread in some area. Guinea corn has replaced maize in many of the semi-arid areas of West Africa, and it is a valuable food since it is richer than maize in some kind of proteins. Now, reasons for processing sorghum. There are several reasons for processing sorghum. There are several reasons for processing Guinea corn. There are several reasons for processing. The most important being the need to preserve food by methods such as pasteurization, sterilization, drying, freezing, smoking, salting, and picking. The second reason is to improve the palatability of raw stuff, which may not be very attractive in the state, such as wheat or soy seeds. The third reason for processing Guinea corn is to add variety. For example, whole range of breads, biscuits, pounding pastas, and breakfast cereals are manufactured from a few basic ingredients. Preservation may also add variety since processing, such as picking, produce food often quite different from original. Example, compare smoked salmon keepers blotters with fresh form. Another reason of processing it is that it is sometimes necessary to remove or destroy harmful substance naturally present. For instance, cassava contains prussic acid in sufficient amount to be poisonous, and it has to be treated before it can be eaten. Soya and many beans contain substance that interferes with digestive enzymes.
With that, we come to the end of the program, Back to Farm. And of course, we'll be looking at Guinea corn farming. In Nigeria, Guinea corn farming provides employment for millions of people, particularly in rural areas. The crop is also an important source of income for many farmers, as it is high demand both locally and internationally. Guinea corn is exported from Nigeria to other African countries, as well as countries in Europe and Asia and North America. On that note, we come to the end of the program Back to Farm. See you same time, same station. Bye for now.